Karen thought the HOA ruled everything, including me. After months of ignored letters, she finally sent hired muscle to convince me to join her precious association. But on my land, the law is simple. Trespassers meet my K9, my shotgun, and if they're real unlucky, the sheriff. The first letter came 2 months ago, stamped with the Silver Ridge HOA logo like it was a royal decree. They called it a friendly invitation to join their community. I called it a joke. My ranch sat on 80 acres at the edge of the valley, well outside their fancy gated neighborhood. Always had been. Always would be. But apparently the HOA board, led by Karen Thompson, self-proclaimed queen of Silver Ridge, thought they could rope me in for dues, rules, and fines like everyone else. I tossed the first letter straight into the wood stove. The second one came with bold words like mandatory compliance and community obligations. I burned that one too. By the third letter, they were threatening legal action if I didn't enroll. I laughed so hard I nearly fell off the porch. See, my land was older than their entire subdivision. My grandfather homesteaded it before most of the valley even had paved roads. The county confirmed years ago. I wasn't under any HOA jurisdiction, but Karen didn't care about laws. Karen cared about control. So one sunny Saturday, I was working on my tractor when I saw a shiny black SUV crawl up my driveway. Out stepped Karen herself, sunglasses perched on her nose, clipboard in hand, heels sinking into the gravel like she thought she was marching into a board meeting instead of a ranch. Behind her came 2 men I didn't recognize. Big guys, matching black jackets, the kind of muscle you hire when you can't win an argument on your own. Karen smiled like a rattlesnake. "Mr. Miller," she said sweetly, "we really need to settle this HOA matter today." I leaned on my tractor, sweat running down my neck. "Ma'am, there is no matter. My land isn't in your HOA. End of story." She ignored that. "You've been uncooperative. This is your final opportunity to join before we escalate things further." I looked at the 2 thugs shifting behind her. One cracked his knuckles. The other smirked like he couldn't wait for me to say the wrong thing. That's when Duke trotted out from under the porch. 80 pounds of trained German shepherd, teeth like polished knives, ears sharp as radar. He planted himself between me and the strangers, growling low enough to rattle the air. Karen glanced at the dog, then back at me. "We're authorized to take enforcement action if needed." I grinned. "Lady, the only thing you're authorized to do is turn around and leave before Duke decides he doesn't like you." The taller thug stepped forward. "Maybe the mutt needs a lesson." Duke's growl dropped an octave. I didn't move. "Try it," I said softly, "and you'll be explaining to the sheriff why you trespassed on private property with a half-eaten arm." The man hesitated. Karen crossed her arms. "We'll be back," she snapped, "and next time it won't be a discussion." They left in a cloud of dust, but I knew she wasn't bluffing. 3 nights later, I heard the engines before I saw the headlights. 2 trucks rolled up the driveway just after sunset. Not Karen this time, just 6 men climbing out, the same kind of muscle-bound types with ball caps and cheap attitudes. Duke was already on alert, pacing the porch, ears up. I stepped outside with my shotgun resting casually in the crook of my arm. The night air was cool, crickets chirping like nothing was about to go wrong. The lead guy, broad shoulders, tattoos creeping up his neck, grinned at me like we were old friends. "Evening," he said. "Karen sent us to persuade you." "Persuade?" I echoed. "Yeah," another chimed in. "Join the HOA, pay your dues, or else." Duke barked once, loud enough to echo off the hills. One of the men flinched. "Control your dog," he snapped. I smiled. Oh, he's plenty controlled. He just doesn't like trespassers. The leader took a step forward. "Look, old man, we can do this easy or hard." Duke lunged. He didn't attack, not yet, but the speed at which he closed the gap made the man stumble backwards so fast he nearly fell over. Teeth bared, growl rolling like thunder, Duke made it clear he wasn't here for negotiations. The men swore, fumbling for something in their jackets. Maybe pepper spray, maybe worse. That's when I racked the shotgun. The sound cracked through the night like lightning. "Let's get something straight," I said, voice steady. This is private property. You're trespassing. That means I'm within my rights to defend it. You got exactly 10 seconds to leave before this conversation ends real permanent-like. The leader hesitated, eyes flicking from Duke's teeth to the shotgun barrel leveled at the ground, but ready. Karen said, Karen ain't the law, I snapped, and neither are you. They didn't leave. Not yet. So I pulled my phone from my pocket with my free hand and dialed one number. Sheriff's office, came the voice on the line. This is Miller out on County Road 6, I said calmly, eyes never leaving the men. Got a pack of trespassers here threatening me on my property. Might want to send a car before things get ugly. The lead man swore under his breath. This isn't over. Yeah, I said. It is. They finally backed off, muttering, engines growling as they peeled out down the road, but something in my gut told me Karen wasn't done yet. The sheriff's cruiser rolled up 20 minutes later, lights flashing red and blue across the fields. Sheriff Daniel stepped out, hand resting on his belt, face carved from stone. Evening, Miller, he said. Heard you had company. 6 of them, I said. Said Karen sent them to force me into her HOA. The sheriff grunted. Figures. Been hearing complaints about her for months. Power's gone to her head. While we talked, another set of headlights appeared. This time it was Karen herself, storming out of her SUV like she owned the whole county. Officer! She shouted, heels crunching on gravel. Arrest this man! He threatened my people with a firearm. The sheriff turned slowly. Your people were trespassing. They were enforcing HOA regulations, she snapped. Daniels sighed like a man with no patience for stupidity. Ma'am, this property isn't under your HOA. Never has been. That means you sent armed men onto private land without cause. That's a crime. Karen froze. But the rules don't apply here, Daniels cut in. And if you send anyone else onto this property, you'll be facing trespassing, harassment, maybe even assault charges if things go bad. You understand me? Karen's face turned the color of week-old tomatoes. This isn't over, she hissed at me. Oh, it's over, the sheriff said flatly. One more stunt like this, and you'll be explaining it to a judge. She sputtered, glared at me, then stomped back to her SUV and roared off into the night. The sheriff turned back to me, shaking his head. Some people think rules make 'em kings, he muttered. But out here, the law's the law. She crosses that line again, you call me. I nodded. Duke finally relaxed, sitting at my feet like none of it had ruffled him one bit. The next week, Karen got herself a stack of citations for criminal trespass and making threats. Word around town was the HOA board voted her out before the ink on the paperwork even dried. As for me, I sat on the porch that evening, Duke at my side, shotgun leaning against the rail, watching the sun drop behind the hills. Out here, we keep things simple. You respect the land, you respect the law, and if you don't, well, you meet Duke first.